Hello, everyone. Welcome to the awesome day of FileMaker Training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMTraining.tv, where every day at 1 o'clock Pacific, we're doing training on the Claris FileMaker platform. So normally I go through a bunch of announcements. We're going to kind of skip forward to the juicy content for today's show. We have Ryan McCann, who is an 11-year veteran with Claris, here with us today to answer questions about kind of the business strategy or trajectory of Claris, where they're going, what's going on, what's new. So I want to welcome Ryan there. Hello, Ryan McCann. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Richard. How are you?
I am good, good. So thanks for taking a couple minutes today with us. If it's, 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whenever you have to jet, that's cool. But we wanted a chance, and I know that you've been making the rounds talking to the people in the FileMaker community, try to get an update from you on what's going on at Claris. And I guess maybe a little bit, you have a new job. So what does that look like? So where do we want to start?
Probably a good spot. Maybe I should do a little bit of an intro or background on me as a
Sure.
starting point. I'm sure there's many in your audience that I have not met before. So just professional background. I've been with Claris, as Richard, as you mentioned, 11 years, all customer market facing roles. Was brought in to run the Americas, which is one of the 4 global geos, and then ended up moving into a global role about 5 years ago. And since then have been part of the executive team, beyond, setting strategy and planning and running all the customer facing functions at Claris. I've run a group internally that is responsible for driving transformation and continuous improvement through our shift to agile and beyond. So that's, kind of my focus over the last, 11 years. And on the personal side, I married, got 5 kids, and with that many kids, their hobbies are actually my hobbies. So that's I'm not
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I know how that is. I had 3. What is new at Claris, right? Because a lot of the people here coming here have not been up in the news of what's going on. So
sure.
what should they know? Where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a transition in leadership. That announcement was made last week. News had gotten out in the community prior to us having formally broadcast it that Brad Freitag is no longer the CEO, and I've stepped into the position on an interim basis. But I'm in the seat, and I think I'll be here for a little while. And I think it's for me it's important to get out in front of our community, because what I found over and over and over again, whether it's our internal employees or our external community, the first question is, what does this mean for me or for us? And obviously there's questions around the health of the business. Whenever there's a leadership change, the first question people ask is, everything okay? And so, I want to make sure that our community understands that our business is healthy, very healthy, and his departure is in no way, shape, or form related to our progress. Matter of fact, fiscal year 24, we run on a fiscal year that ends in September. So October 1st began fiscal year 25. We're a month and a half into FY 25. Fiscal year 24 was the strongest growth year that we've had as a percentage since I've been here. And that's meant a lot to us as an organization, because that was on, the heels of a tough few years as we're going through a cultural transformation from, a mindset of run the business to a mindset of growth, to an operational transformation, shifting from waterfall to agile, dealing with a tough macro. There's been a lot of headwinds that we've had to encounter. And so getting into fiscal year 24 and catching wind, that was really a big deal for us. And the growth is coming in both sides of our business. We break our business down in terms of existing customers and new account acquisition. So both sides of our business, we've seen really, really strong results. Within our install base, our retention rates in FY24 are the highest that they've been. We beat our growth plans in 3 out of 4 of our global markets. And in our new account acquisition strategy, that's all been in coordination with Apple and standing up Apple as kind of a growth engine for us. going to market together as part of a joint technology solution. That's new. We had never done anything like that before. So learning how to bring engineering teams together, learning how to bring go-to-market teams together, and seeing that all start to pay out in FY24, that was huge for us as well. So again, growth on both sides of our business. And then, people have asked, are there more changes coming in terms of the leadership team? The answer is no. There's one change besides me. I pulled Jahan Matthew, who's the senior director of sales, up into backfill, me in the global vice president capacity. But he's surrounded by a very, very strong team, and I have all the confidence in the world in him and his ability.
That is awesome. So customer retention and new customer acquisition. So both of those, when you told me those were strong and you'd beat your kind of goals for that, I was like, man, that's great. That's the news that the Claris FileMaker community needs to hear, right? Because if we're growing the platform, after COVID and a lot of businesses having failed and things like that, that's real positive news. So I was shocked, honestly, when you said that to me. I'm like, wow, right? So,
we've been historically very standoffish in terms of what we'll talk about, especially when it comes to financials, as you can imagine. Just as part of we're a Apple company and everything's real quiet.
Yep. I was going to ask, most people here, some of them don't know that Claris is an Apple company or part of Apple, however you want to frame that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that limits what you can say.
Absolutely. And, we come from a culture where just play it safe. Don't talk. We did well. Sometimes we'll show charts at our conferences that have like a graph that's getting better from left to right, but there's no numbers associated with it. So for me, this was important to be able to say, look, it's not just about our employees. My primary focus was our employees right out the gates for the first 3-4 days as this transition was happening. I wanted to get to everybody. I met with everybody in small groups. Our leadership team, participated in that as well. We went through a much deeper kind of financial review of last year, reiterated our plans for this year. And it was really important to me that everybody understand we're good, really good. Like we actually have momentum. I was really excited going into FY25 regardless. And so I still am. And we have a great plan and I'm looking forward to it. But right behind that is our external community, our partners. A lot of our partners build their business models around our platform. They are counting on us for sustained success. They're counting on the health of our business. And so given the sudden change, I thought it really important to be a little bit more communicative and disclose a little bit more about our actual performance in the year and get down to details like how much growth did we have and that kind of stuff. So it's the easiest way to dispel myths as far as I'm concerned. And that's part of why I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm going to do some more of these types of things. I've done a number of them already leading up to today. I'll continue to do them. I just want to be very visible and vocal with our community as we go forward into FY25.
Okay, so we talked about customer retention, new account acquisition. So you're working with Apple, and largely, from my understanding, it's been Apple education where you've been coordinating and learning how to work with Apple. The question would become are you somehow able to dovetail that into general business, working with Apple to push FileMaker or the platform into more business channels as opposed to education channels? That's been an ongoing question for a couple of years.
That's the long range plan. So stage one was going to market as part of a joint technology solution, being a big important part of that solution and knocking that out of the park. And we chose the vertical as education. It's a very important vertical to both of our company, both sides, the Apple and the Claris side. We're all part of the same company. And it's an area that we could start to kind of build that machine. And we did. We're moving now to stage 2 of that endeavor, which is expanding beyond integrations into the platform in education. So staying with the existing market that we're in, it's a land and expand kind of motion. We've got the land part down. Apple publicly announced that we are their integration solution. They deprecated their PowerSchool integrations and others. So that was a huge announcement that drove a ton of volume in our direction. Now we're working on the motion to move out of integrations into our course, platform, FileMaker in particular, and other features. The third stage of this would be to move outside of education, but crawl, walk, run. Crawl was build the machine, figure out how this engine runs, figure out what the critical components of it are, starting with engineering and then moving into go to market. I mean, people don't understand, just enabling a channel that's, exponentially bigger than our own to be able to, what do they talk to their customers about? How do they talk about these things? What are the enabling tools that they're going to need in these conversations? That we consider that go to market, like having not done that before, that was new for us. Now that we have that foundation in place, I'm expecting much faster time to market for stage 2. And then, when we get that done, now we have at least a repeatable process that should scale into other markets.
All right, so that's been a big question for a long time, is because people are like, how come we never see FileMaker, Apple promoting FileMaker? And I think Claris is clearly laying the tracks to that with what you've done, learning from this, especially with education. And Apple operates at a whole scale level larger than historically what, Claris. I mean, the number of machines that Apple ships, customers that Apple supports.
Their numbers are unreal. I mean, that's why it's like, when we're going into this as the category has become very, very crowded and swelling and all that stuff, and there's all of this noise, trying to, to differentiate in this category, there's at least 100 companies now that are claiming to be low code, no code, pro code, at least 100. And, that wasn't the case 6 years ago. So differentiating ourselves in this category on our quest to become category leaders, like we can try and do that with our megaphone, or we can figure out how to take advantage of our parent company. And that was the decision that we made. And so we'll continue down that path in terms of new account acquisition and market penetration.
Okay, so let's, I'm going to pivot briefly here and ask you, Claris talks about like core beliefs. Sometimes it's referred to as North Stars. I remember Peter Nelson talking about that. What are the things that you believe in? And are any of those things different than maybe your predecessor that we should be aware of, right? So what are the core beliefs? What are your North Stars? Where do you want to go, Mr. McCann?
Good question. So, Peter's got engineering North Stars.
Yes.
I think more kind of vision, from a vision standpoint, directionally, who are we and what are we trying to be and where are we trying to win?
Perfect.
I think to begin with, like our purpose, it has always been and will continue to be around enabling small and mid-sized businesses to use technology to gain advantage, to have access to technology like the enterprise does, so that they can gain advantage. We believe that a thriving SMB market is good for the world. It's good for everybody. And so we talk about making powerful technologies available to everybody. We focus on the small and mid-sized business. And our whole mission has always been around, making these types of capabilities available to people in this specific market where they don't have massive budgets and huge IT departments. So that doesn't change. Our role is to be the custom platform of choice for companies that are committed to technology as a transforming differentiator. You got a lot of options, whether it's out of the box, off the shelf, or custom. Our role, we believe, is to be the custom solution of choice. We see firsthand over and over again the gains that our customers experience when they commit to this strategy. I see it played out constantly. We deliver time and time again as the nerve center, or we use language now that's being adopted, the workplace operating system for this type of transformation. The journey steps that our customers go through to get to that level are really universally pretty consistent. We've organized our product roadmap around that journey. We've organized our internal teams around those journey stages, from awareness all the way through an organization that has shifted to a mindset of continuous innovation. And as we execute against this vision, we're confident that we can sustain the mission of year-over-year double-digit growth. But I think just clarifying that, there is the companies that are the most exciting for us to talk about are those that have embarked on this journey, those that are breaking away from the pack. I hear the phrase digital transformation. I think that's a little bit played out, but it's really those that don't look at like technology as a necessary evil. They're like, we're going to bet our position. We're going to bet as a differentiating asset that technology is going to allow us to break away from the path. And there's just countless evidence of this across our community where that has come to life. So you'll see this showing up. You're going to see it showing up in the various keynotes where we're going around. We're talking about the customer success motion and workplace operating system and transformational gains. You'll see it in the customer stories that we're promoting and publishing. You'll see it in messaging in our website. The custom platform of choice as the nerve center of workplace operating system for companies that have committed to technology as their transformational differentiator. That's kind of where we're going.
So one of the things you said to me the other day, and then I went, time out, why don't you come on the live stream and talk about this? You were talking about how Claris is very integrated or dependent, or they work closely with a developer community. There's a developer community that helps power and move that forward. And it's a little bit different than a lot of companies, right? And you were big on articulating that importance. And while I say that to people on a daily basis, that developers, either in-house or professional outside developers, are important, you have a definite perspective on that, right?
Yeah, within the organization. Part of it just has to do with my role has always been customer facing. So when I'm walking into accounts or I'm meeting with broad groups of customers and I'm looking at these stories of transformation where we are the nerve center of the business, the ingredients, like I said, those journey stages are really consistent. The ingredients are really consistent. Every time, 100% of the time, there is a credible professional developer attached to the account. You need business sponsorship, internal advocacy, i.e. champion, a dedicated pro developer with a bench of strength as needed, right? That most often comes in the form of a Claris partner. So my advocacy for moving partners, Claris partners, more and more to the center of our strategy is in every way related to what I witness as the ingredients for success on this journey. Because without Claris partners, we just don't see it showing up that way. So when you look at over the last year and a half, 2 years, you look at the changes to the way that we're positioning and promoting partners. You look at our web properties, for example, the navigation, the get help, the campaign pages. You look at the programs that we're running to funnel people to our partner community, to get them in contact with the partner, to make connections with our partners. Again, you look at our customer stories, these digital transformation workplace OS stories, they all include a Claris partner as part of them. And even the work that we've done over the last year and a half with our internal teams, like that are direct in the market, retraining them and really helping them to understand that, and measuring them based on their effectiveness, and in setting the expectation early on with accounts that this isn't just about buying a license. This is about a journey, and this is about a solution, and a critical ingredient that is a partner. So I'm just doing the obvious things, right? I want more customers that are leveraging us as their workplace operating system. I know that a critical ingredient of that is oftentimes a Claris partner. So I'm integrating that into the way that we go to market. It's that simple.
Is there anything else on the growth of what we call true new or new customers and retention? Are there any numbers that Apple will allow you to share besides we're growing? I just asked the question generically. If there's, I don't know how much you can share. Once again,
I feel like I feel like I've light years ahead of where we typically are, and even saying double digit and growth, and the fact that 3 out of 4 markets in our base grew. I'll say that our plans for 25 for this fiscal year are largely based on the continued growth in the areas that we've been focused on in those specific markets. We are going to continue. I don't know. I'm getting lost. I don't know whether I said it here or said it somewhere else, but our retention rates in fiscal year 24, highest that I've seen. Again, in 3 out of 4 markets, the highest I've seen. We're going to continue. First of all, we have the most powerful, pro development tool for small, mid-sized business on the market. This is our category. If we don't emerge as the leader in this category, that's because we failed to execute. So what we've not done a good job of historically is meeting the personas within the organizations that buy from us, where they are on their journey in language that they understand. So learning how to talk to a pro developer, learning how to talk to internal champions and executive buyers. So we put a lot of investment in the last 4 to 6 quarters around improving our messaging. And the way that we've done that is we have integrated ourselves with more and more of those personas. We're much closer to those personas than we ever have been before. We're continuing to build out our product vision in order to be able to allow our core personas, our primary personas, the ability to take on more and more use cases. We're really strong for internal use cases that are, where FileMaker is the solution. We've got a lot of experience in external use cases where FileMaker is also the solution in WebDirect, but we want to introduce new tools that don't have some of the constraints that FileMaker has in that area. And we've got a lot of ground to cover on the integration side. And we see those 3 areas as like, if we want our developers to take on more and more projects, whether they're Claris partners or in-house, we have got to continue to expand on that stack. So our growth plans for FY25 count on sustained growth, the way I described earlier. They are going to continue to be focused the way that we are in our install base, ideally bringing more new features to market and getting stage 2 in education with Apple stood up and generating opportunities for us. Those are the 2 areas that we should expect change and continued growth on the trajectory that we're currently on.
Let me give a little back color real quick. And this is not so much for you, Ryan, for everyone else. So Claris has invested heavily over the last number of years, and I've seen these. I don't have any of them because they're internal to Claris. Claris has done research on when a brand new person comes to FileMaker and they discover they can define something, and then they discover that people want to share it. Then they put on the server. Then they have to import the records. They have this entire journey, like a graph, and it was shockingly accurate. And there were like internal people, like I'm in-house or I'm a professional developer and I have a back skill set. And so Claris has invested, whereas an outside developer, I've been doing this 34 years, I understand this intuitively. Not to the point where I ever wrote it down, but I just intuitively understand it. Claris did the research to document this, and it's on posters in their building, right? And so when he talks about personas, they actually gave names like Fred and Dick and Jane and this sort of thing. And they're talking about people so they can talk to them and educate them and work with them and about the platform in an intelligent way, right? And so how you talk to an internal advocate is different than how we talk to like Chris Moyer or Proofgeist or someone, a professional, right? So that's all part of what you've been exploring.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of where we've been investing from a marketing standpoint. It's like, I mean, if you think about where we were 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it's easy. Anybody can do it. Come on, it's a toy. Go pick it up. You can go build cool stuff. And that's just not who we are, and that's not who we need to be talking to, and those aren't the stories that we want to tell. This is not an easy, relatively speaking. This isn't like drag and drop and I've got an app now. I mean, this requires some real skill to build and deploy mission critical solutions that are gonna stay within an organization for years to come. And so talking to pro developers about the features that are really important for them to take on those mission critical use cases, talking to an executive buyer, we call Paula as the in-house pro developer, Ebby's the executive buyer, talking to the executive buyer about why this is the safe investment, not just for today, but for the future. Talking to the internal champion about what this could mean for them and their ability to navigate their career. The list goes on and on. So yeah, we've spent a lot of time developing those personas, learning how to communicate with them more effectively, understanding which channels are most effective in reaching those communities. And we're starting to see some really good results from that.
Yeah, I want everyone to take away what Ryan said just a moment ago about how integral the developer community is in helping. It's really like what I consider the real advocacy or sales team within the platform, or all these developers running around. And then, of course, there are people at Claris called the sales team, which largely ring the register and process the orders if there's a licensing. But it's all the the Wim DeCourts and all the Josh Ormans and all the Beths and all these people are here on the live stream with us today. They are the ones that are out there pitching and selling and advocating for this platform. And that's such an important thing. And the fact that Claris really gets this makes me feel good that everyone's playing on the same page. So
if you look at some of our most recent launches, I mean, you may or may not notice, but how many of our partners were enabled to launch in coordination with us, that, they had blog posts going out the same day. We're working very closely with our partners that have got the most reach to make sure that they're on board. I mean, it goes way before that. I mean, the things that we're building, the validation that goes into it up front, so that by the time as we're launching things today, I mean, I've got a lot of really good feedback about the most recent release, and people have said we feel like this is the most integrated that our feedback has been in a release ever, basically. And the fact that we're able to go to market in coordination with our huge community. You talk about the megaphone just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger the more effective you are. So yeah, that is our focus, and it's working.
Cool. So you're the CEO, I guess the interim title for now, but we're assuming you'll be there for a while. Very exciting. Good financial results. Once again, for everyone, Apple, their quarter starts kind of weird. October 1 is the beginning of their fiscal year. So now we're in 2025 now, I guess, even though it's 2024. So just everyone, if we hear references to fiscal year 24, that's kind of October 1 to the end of September. Is that how that works, Ryan? Yeah. Good. All right. Anyone else? That's it. We're going to cut him loose. He's a big time CEO. He's got stuff to do. So I think that might be it.
Right on. I'm always available, man. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
All right. Thank you, sir. Claris has a lot of growth potential. I'm very excited to see that. Most of you have seen this with him. I think Ryan is, in my opinion, understands where his technical limits are, and he's more apt to want to listen to people about those technical things to fill him in. So he might be reaching out to some of you, or already are reaching out to some of you, talk to some of you about your thoughts and ideas and things like that. But largely for the current time, they are going to continue to execute the current strategy, which is mostly nail the Apple education component with Claris Connect, expand that out. And then once they've documented, they have confidence in that process, take it to the business side. So having Apple push FileMaker through business, which to most of the developers here is way more interesting, right? I don't have that many education customers, but general business customers, quite a few. So with that in mind, anything else, Margaret, before we wrap an early show today?
I think we're good. I mean, you're going to all see me again in about an
hour and a half. Yeah. So.
So.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. If anyone has questions, comments, feel free to reach out. Support at RC Consulting. I appreciate it. And that's it for today.
Bye, everybody. See you in a bit.